The last interactive control that we'll talk about, as far as species effects are concerned, are disturbance regimes. Organisms that alter disturbance regimes change the relative importance of colonization and species interactions in controlling ecosystem processes. Essentially what that means is that we know that disturbances are really important for determining ecosystem processes. And if we introduce or take away a species that has a large or disproportionate effect on the disturbance regime itself, we're radically going to alter ecosystem functioning. One of the examples that are used is the introduction of flammable species into environments. So some species are more prone to carrying fire than others. We talked a little bit about this for the buffalo grass and the sonoran. It promotes fire. And there's other species that promote fire too. They have very flammable litter, for example, and help fuels carry through an ecosystem. Some of these fires can be catastrophic, and the introduction of species like eucalyptus really promote the flammability of forests. Another important disturbance is animal impacted disturbance. And animals are a cause of disturbance. For example, beavers in northern forests around waterways can have large impacts on those forests just by cutting down relatively young trees and trees of certain species. They do this for food and also to build dams. The presence of a beaver leads to a system that on the terrestrial side is a lot more impacted by disturbance. There's a lot more tree mortality that occurs. And then in the aquatic systems, it changes the system from being flowing streams to a series of small ponds or lakes. So the presence or absence of a beaver, which is a primary agent of biotic disturbance, can radically alter the ecosystem function of both the terrestrial and the aquatic ecosystems. Another species that we don't necessarily think about that can have large impacts on how that ecosystem functions are earthworms. And in North America, earthworms, there are native earthworms and there are non-native earthworms. But as far as some places are concerned, no earthworms have been present there since the last glaciation. And in the introduction of both native or non-native earthworms can have an impact on how that ecosystem functions. So when we take a look at systems that don't have earthworms, earthworms are large consumers of leaf litter. And these systems often have a lot of leaf litter in them and a different understory structure. The presence of those earthworms can often remove a large amount of leaf litter, leaving large areas that are relatively open, and changes in nutrient cycling too. So the simple addition of earthworms can radically change the way that mineral nutrients are cycled in the ecosystem, as well as carbon.